And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin.
In an epic and monumental gaffe, Joe Biden introduced the president of Ukraine as President Putin. This comes on the heels of his horrible performance in the debate against Donald Trump. Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks broke this all down. Let's take a look.
Breaking news, guys, while we're on the air, Biden's at the NATO summit. He's introducing Zelensky. Let's show you the tape of what happened.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. We're going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
Yeah, over. Totally over. I mean, this is the day he's supposed to prove himself. He's supposed to do a press conference. That's the big boy press conference. He hasn't even gotten to the press conference yet and immediately falls on his face. Especially when you have all of this attention on you. You cannot introduce President Zelensky as his main enemy, President Putin. I think we haven't even gotten to the press conference yet and it's already over. Everybody's going to go nuts over this, Anna. This is not sustainable.
I mean, I'm already at a loss of words. We've been covering this ever since the disastrous debate performance. I'm shocked that there are still people who have deluded themselves into thinking that Biden has a good chance of beating Donald Trump. I'm angry at those who have enabled the cover-up for as long as they've enabled it. I don't have a short attention span and I have good memory. And I remember raising the concerns about Biden's mental decline in 2019 and 2020. And we were smeared over and over again as secret Trump supporters. Oh, these nefarious Young Turks. Oh, these nefarious progressives. It's because they can't have their guy be the Democratic nominee. I don't even care about that. I want to be abundantly clear. It's over for Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders isn't vying to be president of the United States, okay? And I don't even know if there are really any other progressives in Congress at all. So this isn't a progressive Democrat versus establishment Democrat war, okay? This is about getting people accurate information about the Democratic candidate and also just coming to terms with the fact that you have a whole media apparatus and you have an entire political party that covered up the truth from Democratic voters, and there's still a sizable portion of those voters who get angry at you for telling them the truth.
When he was at G7 meetings earlier, now new reporting from CNN saying that a lot of the other people that he was dealing with, world leaders, were concerned because he was always so tired and he wouldn't show up to a lot of meetings. He would, on a 5-day trip, he needed 2 days of rest. And as always, both in these foreign trips and also here at home, very tightly held to a close group of advisors. The top one is, of course, the First Lady, Jill Biden, and they basically don't let him see anyone else outside of a controlled environment. So that means they know that outside of a controlled environment, he's going to melt. And in the simplest introduction in the world, you just saw him melt. And guys, last thing on this is the context. So if you stumble and you accidentally say the wrong name once, no big deal. People do that all the time, right? But if you hear disingenuous hacks now going, oh, it's just a stumble, it's no big deal. No, within the context of his infinite number of so-called stumbles, and the fact that he couldn't finish sentences in the debate, the fact that he said we defeated Medicare, he, in another interview where he was supposed to prove himself and already had the questions in front of him, already had the answers in front of him, prepared by staff. He said he was the first black woman to serve with the first a black president. In the ABC interview, he said he's the goodest there is. Come on, guys, it's over.
And Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur, in my opinion, are exactly right with everything that they're saying here. As much speaking as presidents and politicians at this level do, they're going to make mistakes. They all do. Everybody does. You know, people are human. They're going to make mistakes when they speak this much. But when Joe Biden makes a gaffe like that, calling Zelensky Putin, coming on the heels of all of this criticism that he is facing over his debate performance, and just the fact that everybody knows that he's too old, it's disastrous to do this. And the Democrats have covered this up, the Democratic Party, and they should have had a primary to allow the voters to choose somebody other than Joe Biden. And this idea that Jill Biden is Joe Biden's advisor, and you also have Hunter Biden, who was on crack not long ago, and we don't know if maybe he's still on crack, who knows, as his wife and his son as his main advisors for a job of this level. I mean, imagine a regular person showing up at their work for a meeting with their son or their daughter with them, and they say, oh yeah, they're going to be at all the meetings going forward because they're my top advisors. I mean, it's insane. They need someone outside of his family to be making the decision to say, okay, Joe, you're out. Somebody else is taking over. You can't do the job anymore. Instead of allowing Joe Biden and his wife and son to hold the country hostage.
If you need more evidence, including, by the way, this next video will give you evidence of what I'm saying in regard to the media taking part in the cover-up. Why don't we listen to what Chuck Todd recently said on his program about what was disclosed to him 2 years ago about Joe Biden. Let's watch.
Jonathan, I don't want to I'm not going to out the cabinet secretary.
Right.
But I had a cabinet secretary 2 years ago.
Right.
Okay. 2 years ago. All out of the blue, ask me, do you really think he can't run again like this? And I said, well, you have more interaction with him than I do. And they said, I don't have a lot of interaction with him. This is a pretty senior cabinet secretary. So, and this was 2 years ago. This is
the car in the oncoming lane was trying to beat the light, turned right in front of us. I swerved to miss him, and our car flipped.
This is one of those, it's the classic open secrets, a non-versation, right? It's the story everybody knows and everybody was afraid to talk about.
This is a Biden White House secretary. Do you understand? This is someone within his cabinet who disclosed this to Chuck Todd 2 years ago. But there's more. Let's go to graphic 2 here. Amanda Turkle, a reporter, shares that several of Biden's closest allies, including 3 people directly involved in re-election efforts, told reporters that they now see his chances of winning as 0. Quote, he needs to drop out. One of Biden's campaign officials said, he will never recover from this. No one involved in the effort thinks he has a path, said a second person working to elect him. These are people who work closely with him. These are people who work on his re-election campaign. Okay, but anyone who shares this information, this accurate information to Democratic voters gets viciously attacked, which, by the way, viciously attack me, I don't care. Okay, I'm not like these other wannabe journalists and reporters and cable news anchors who are afraid of online mobs. I love the online mobs. Come for me. I'm not gonna lie to my audience to appease the online mobs. But this is the reality of the situation, okay? The Democratic voters, they've been had. And the question is, are they just gonna sit by and take it as we barrel toward an iceberg? Or are they gonna demand better from their party?
Yeah.
So Anna Kasparian is right with what she's saying, but all the voters can do is vote. When the Democratic Party establishment they're all mostly publicly sticking by Joe Biden. And why did these people not, like Chuck Todd, not say these things 2 years ago? When he was told this, why did Chuck Todd not say that 2 years ago? I know what Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur would say is the media and all of these Democratic Party establishment people are all a bunch of cowards. They have no courage. They want to be on the gravy train of the party or the media, and they didn't want to come out and say these things. And now the voters on the Democratic side were not given a choice. They did not have a real primary in order to allow the voters to have somebody to choose from other than Joe Biden. And now the Democratic Party is facing the consequences of their actions. They're going to get crushed in the election, but they're going to blame the voters, and they're going to blame people like Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur on the Young Turks of pointing out the reality of this when that's what should have been happening all along.
Yeah, so last thing on this for now. Number one, they knew. They all knew he was too old. The cabinet secretaries knew, the advisors knew, they've been hiding him the whole time. Everybody knew that they were hiding him. The reporters knew they were hiding him. They all knew, but hey, you all have to support the powerful, because the whole point of the press is to support the powerful and to do propaganda, right? The whole point of those advisors is to hold on to their jobs, their power, and not care about you. And right now, not only did they know now. And what they know now is not just that he's too old, but as his closest advisors are saying, they're saying the thing that I've been saying all this time, and everybody said, oh my God, Cenk, you're totally nuts. I said, he doesn't have 50% chance, he doesn't have 30% chance, he has a near 0% chance. Every time I said that, people would lose their minds. Now here's his top advisors going, don't you guys realize he has a near 0% chance of winning? Of course. And the only reason why everyone else didn't see it is because they created an alternate reality. They created their own cult. And that's why I call it Blue MAGA. And I actually don't blame the people inside of it, because they were listening to cable news. They were listening to Morning Joe. They were listening to The View. And if that's all you watched, you would have thought Joe Biden was leading the whole time and that he was in great shape, because that's what they would always tell you. Lie after lie after lie. If you're in Blue MAGA and now you see his top advisors saying, yeah, 0% chance. Do you get now that they all lied to you? They definitely did. And if Biden doesn't drop out, it's gonna cost us certainly the election. And if you believe what they were saying all along, maybe even democracy. But at this point, especially with the Putin gaffe, it's over. I told you, he's definitely gonna drop out. And you could definitely quote me on that.
Cenk Uygur's right with what they're saying, that they knew all of this, but the big problem right now is that, at least publicly, most of the Democratic establishment is acting like everything is fine instead of acting as if the house is on fire and saying, okay, we have to do something right now. They should be, right after that debate, they should have been making plans for who the replacement was going to be for Joe Biden. And with each day that goes by, there's just less and less chance of the Democratic Party coming up with somebody to replace Joe Biden. If they stick with Joe Biden, they're certain to lose, as Cenk Uygur and Anna Kasparian are saying here. But I don't know why they aren't working feverishly to come up with a replacement so that they maybe have a chance to win. And I know that Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur are perplexed by this as well. They're certain that Biden is going to drop out, but the longer they wait, the less chance of getting a candidate in there who has a chance. But what do you think? Do you agree with Anna Kasparian and Cenk Uygur here? Or is it just perfectly fine to have Joe Biden stay in the race and have his wife and his son, to have Jill Biden and Hunter Biden basically running everything instead of having experts in there actually running our country? Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. Make sure to comment about what you think about Cenk Uygur, Anna Kasparian, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden, any of these people, of topics that you'd like to see covered. All of this helps me grow the channel. I'll see you in the next video.